and we'll work through our Vincent Van Gogh document here to start. So I'll click on the scoring indicator. On the right-hand side, it tells me that my current score is 30%. The issue that's most impactful from an accessibility point of view is images that are missing a description. And then the preview is highlighting those images in my document that are missing a description. So the preview functionality, the down and up arrows will move me through and show me where those images are that are missing a description. There's paging capability where I can page forwards and backwards. If the highlighting, I think that's a good example. So here we can see it's cutting off the text. If I needed to read this for some reason, maybe it's going to help me with my description. I can turn off the preview or the highlighting if that's distracting. Zooming capabilities is zoom in and out. Over on the right-hand side, it has the what does this mean? So what is an image description? Probably all the different ways I've been referring to it during the session today of alternative description or alt text or other ways people refer to it. Why using image descriptions is important. How to add a description. So if I don't know where the file is on my computer and I don't want to close out to go back to Learn to download it, I can choose download from here, and it's going to retrieve the file from the Learn environment for me to save locally, and then I can open it up with the authoring software I'm going to use to change it. And they'll give step-by-step instructions of where to go within Word to change or add the alt text. Even provide some information about marking as decorative, which you can do within Word. If I'm the type of person that likes to hold instructions in front of me, I can print everything that's above in this section while I'm here. This help link, so by default, goes out to the Ally for LMS Help Instructors page. I'll go through this very quickly, just looking at the time. So it has a lot of examples of things to consider when coming up with an image description, and anytime the issue is an image missing a description, whether that be in a Word document or a PowerPoint or a PDF or within the text editor content, you're going to see these same examples. So you're going to get very familiar with seeing the farmer in the field and these other examples about what's good descriptions, not so good descriptions. Some LMSs default the description to be the file name, which isn't very useful, just to know it's called westminster.png. So a better way of describing that. Some people put the link where the original image came from. Better to describe it, include that link at the end. Keeping in mind your course or the course that's being taught and why you're using that image at that time in the course is important. So I always take this back to the, Word provides the generated description for me. Well, what it generates might not be the reason why I'm using it in my course. So an example of a history class versus an art class, how you might describe this particular painting. How to come up with a good description for graphs or charts, and then more information about marking it as decorative. I have more than one issue on my file, so if I click the All Issues link, we can see the other issues that exist within it. So if I click on the text with insufficient contrast, it's now highlighting the gray font color text that doesn't meet the color contrast check, and also has the what does it mean, some other resources for checking color contrast, why it's important to use sufficient contrast, and then probably understand the idea will show me where to go within Word or whatever I'm using to fix the color contrast issues. Table's not properly formatted with a header row, so all I did in the original file was bold the first line, but it's not set to be the header line. There's also a table property setting that says the header line should repeat across the page. If it breaks across the page, which this does this is essentially the PDF view of the content. So all that be explained in the how to set a table, where would you go within Word to set that particular property and why using headings is important for tables. And then one issue we didn't look at in the preview but won't have anything highlighted is document does not have headings. So as I described with the alternative formats, Ally doesn't see bolding of text, font size increase as an indication of a heading for it to make a decision of this should be heading level 1 or this should be heading level 2. I will have to decide what the heading level should be and have that in the original Word document. So nothing will be highlighted in the preview, but does give you information about what a heading is or maybe is not supposed to be and why headings are important, and then where to go within Word to add those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a version of the file where I've fixed, I think should have images with their image descriptions and resolve the color contrast issue. So within a couple seconds there, Ally reevaluated it, calculated a new score, increased to 48%, but I didn't resolve all the issues. If I do the try again, we're on the document doesn't have headings. If I go to all issues, we still have the table issue. So I will fix that, but I'll do that through the instructor course report that I'll show you here in just a couple of minutes. When I close out, my browser is going to kind of automatically refresh, and we can see the scoring indicator has updated. So it's replaced the file that's being linked and available within the course. The way this particular environment's set up, it has things kind of going to a recycle bin in the course content area. So depending on how you have your system set up, it may completely delete the file that was previously being used, or if it's set up to just put it into the recycle bin for the course, that it would be in there and eventually cleaned up whenever that learn system recycle bin process completes. But important thing is whatever I uploaded through the Ally feature is what's being made available to students to download from within the course. I also want to show you that Ally is doing some checking of the text editor content. So the scoring indicator here is for the image itself, and what I did was I just put in the file name as the image description, which Ally doesn't see as an appropriate description. So I could fix it here, but I'm going to show you that I can also fix it through the WYSIWYG feedback feature. So if I go and edit my content, there we go. So what I'll point out here is, and this is a separate feature that you can turn on the WYSIWYG editor. This one is not on by default, but you can turn it on through the admin configuration. When it's on, you'll see the little scoring indicator at the top right of the editor, and this is doing live scoring of the issues that I might be introducing inadvertently within my text editor. So the example I always use is I'm going to add some more text here that is using this lighter gray font color, which can be problematic, and you'll notice the score will start going down as I add more text that has that color contrast issue. So lowered it a couple of percentage points just based on the amount of text and the proportion that's using this gray font color. If you can see how I've reduced it. So if I click on the indicator, it's going to load up a preview, and the first issue it goes to is that color contrast issue. So it's highlighting the text where I have that color contrast, and it will let me choose, and I can also apply it to all three occurrences. So it'll fix it in kind of the preview. You can see it increased my score to 73%, but I still have this image that's missing a description. So if I select that issue, highlighting the image, what's currently in there, so I can place something that is more meaningful. save. So I've got it up to 98%. This one issue here, so there's a few issues related to the text editor where it says guidance is coming soon. So this one's interesting. I'll go back to the text editor and show you in a moment. But it's basically due to Ally is retrieving this as an HTML block, and based off the WCAG standard, there's certain rules or things you need to follow when it's HTML content. And one of those is if you're using headings, it's supposed to start at the H1 HTML tag. And I think most of the LMSs do this, and I know the Ally team has given feedback, to the Learn team, to the different other LMS teams that there needs to be a way to select that H1. I think it's been more for kind of visual appearance where it's giving you the other heading options. So if I switch over to this, so the default ones that Learn provides, so the subheading 2 is actually an H6. There is no H1 option, and this is really what Ally is looking at. And again, the WCAG standard says for HTML content, when you're using headings, you need to start at H1. Otherwise, certain devices, things will get confused if you aren't using the correct heading level. So that's why it says guidance coming soon, because it is somewhat reliant on the LMS and providing the options within the editor. Now, one could argue that it can provide an explanation when going into the HTML code and changing it here, but I feel like that's probably a little too much for a faculty to know that. But did want you to be aware of why it's showing that. I know that there's folks out there that want to get it up to 100%, so you could ultimately change the underlying HTML code and that would fix it, but as you can see, it is not dramatically affecting the score, just a minor lowering of the score given that it can't get set to level 1. So I'll close that out. We can see that it's updated in the editor. I will have to hit submit for it to commit those changes, but I did want to show, if I go to my image properties, what I typed in through the Ally feature does go back into the alternative description field on the Learn side. So that's important. If I would copy this course forward to the future, it's in the correct location on the Learn side, so it gets copied into the new iteration version of the course that I might use, a year from now, 2 years from now, if I copied this content forward from year to year. So I'll click submit to be sure to save that, and the changes are made to the editor.